Welcome everyone to OnPodcast, the Microsoft podcast, where we talk about Microsoft stuff on a podcast. I'm your co-host today. I'm Kareem Anderson. I'm joined by the world's greatest co-host,
RF Bacchus.
and we have controversy up the wazoo. Not with us personally, but Microsoft has a lot. So strap in for week, I don't know, 5 of Microsoft news, and it's going to be a doozy. I'm going to start everybody off with what we're going to be talking about.
Windows Phone is back. No, we're just joking. Microsoft is killing off another product this time, according to some rumors, and it is HoloLens.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into that. We also got some controversy about the Insider program and is it really relevant? So we'll be talking about that next.
And there's also more controversy coming with 3D emojis, which everyone wanted and is apparently now underway, according to just one Microsoft employee.
Yes, and then I mean we'll be talking about that both of those, all three of those topics at length, and then we'll jump into our fast recap, which again is full of more news, where we talk about the Federal Trade Commission will reportedly investigate the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal, which we kind of all saw coming. Kind of had to be done for $70 billion. We're also going to be talking about Microsoft killing off the Surface Audio app, but in lieu of replacing it with a more functional single app, which we should always applaud. Then we talk about Microsoft List being adding support for personal Microsoft accounts in preview. Lastly, we'll kind of wrap. Well, I mean, we'll also wrap up with Android 11 coming out to the Duo, the original Duo. So we'll talk about some of the new features and some of the things that are kind of like it. And then we're going to be wrapping up with Gmail getting a sort of Microsoft Outlook feature with integrated view options. So those are our fast recaps, and then we're going to kind of jump into the week ahead, which is everyone's favorite section. And what are you going to be talking about there?
More fallout from the HoloLens news, and also we're looking ahead towards a new Windows Insider Dev channel build because there was no new one this week because Microsoft faced a bug. And then also, February is Black History Month, and Xbox is doing some cool things. So we'll just run through those.
Yeah, and I will be reviewing some hardware, which I think once we're done will be part of a giveaway. So stay tuned.
All right, and why don't you get us into the first topic, which is Microsoft killing off HoloLens?
Oh yes, hope you can find some B-roll of like there's a picture of I think Alex Kidman and Joe Belfiore and Terry Myers, whatever, all kind of laughing with the HoloLens goggles. Well, that should have been a precursor. All three of those guys are doomed for failure. Apparently, Joe B just keeps finding projects to fail at. But we are getting reports, rumors, essentially, nothing's been official, about Microsoft kind of canceling HoloLens 3 and where that leaves the HoloLens team. Now, this news is coming off the back of several reports, one of them being the brain bleed from Microsoft's HoloLens AR division in general. We wrote about that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where the beneficiary of about 100 employees from the HoloLens team happens to be Meta, formerly known as Facebook. They've gobbled up a lot of the HoloLens team as is, and of those 100 or so people leaving, 70 of them were straight there. So there are about 30 kind of floating around in the industry, looking for contracts, probably with Apple, who has been rumored to be coming out with something later this year. That should be pretty impressive. Google as well, because I think they've reintroduced efforts that are beyond Google Glass. And I'm sure there are other, enterprise people like Lenovo and things like that that are looking for AR solutions. Either way, it's Microsoft's loss. So with that news being said, and HoloLens reportedly, again, these are rumors still, putting the kibosh on HoloLens 3, which again, we got HoloLens 2 about 2.5 years ago, I think it was.
Yep,
And
2020.
yeah, so for something that should be the next coming of AR and the introduction of Satya Nadella's, metaverse, and they're not getting new hardware. We haven't seen any updates to the field of view. I mean, people who have HoloLens headsets like yourself probably haven't seen an update in at least a year. So, people are wondering what is going on with this project. And now you're delaying what should have been an update. This is starting to feel a lot like Windows Phone. I'll let you kind of talk on it now.
It's mainly been fueled by a report from Business Insider, which paywalled, by the way. We had to pay $1 to get access to it. But the report detailed that a lot of Microsoft employees who work on the HoloLens team are sort of in a rift. Some people want HoloLens to be more of a consumer thing for the metaverse because of what Facebook, Meta, and what Meta and Apple are doing right now. And other people want it to be focused on enterprise and businesses as it is right now. And that's causing rift and disarray of the direction of the product. That was one lug nut from the Business Insider report. And then the other lug nut, like Kareem was getting into, is that apparently the middle of 2021, Microsoft and Samsung formed some sort of partnership on an mixed reality headset. And this really pissed off the HoloLens team because Samsung wanted to take Microsoft's display technology and put it in the product. And then Microsoft and their employees are like, no, it's ours. And then Samsung apparently told Microsoft, you guys make the software and we'll make the hardware. And there was this whole subdivision going on the HoloLens team about that. So it seems that is what eventually killed off HoloLens 3, according to Business Insider. But again, it's just rumors and it's nothing confirmed. And speaking of not confirmed, Alex Kipman, he took to his Twitter account and he said the following: "Don't believe what you read on the internet. HoloLens is doing great. And if you search said internet, they also said that we had canceled HoloLens 2, which last I checked, we shipped with success." So Kippen is playing fun there with the rumors, and is he confirming that hey, maybe HoloLens 3 could still be around?
No, what he's doing is what you and I talked about off mic. He's pulling a mixer right now. At least that's what it really feels like. I'm not saying that this could be the death of HoloLens, but I do remember when we had broke a story about an insider meeting about the disarray that was going on with Mixer. They shortly followed up with Mixer's fine, nothing to see here. I don't know if you guys ever watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, but nothing's going on. Bossing say so. This is kind of what it feels like from Alex Kidman, especially with the things that we tangibly know. Like we don't know that it's been canceled. We don't know anything, but we do know employees are upset. We do know employees are leaving. These are facts, and we do know that they're having trouble getting their headset combat ready.
Yeah.
And I believe that could be part of just not having the resources or the manpower behind this in this project. So they're being pulled in, 4 or 5 different directions, and they're starting to get competition who not only caught up to them because HoloLens came out and it was one of the first wireless, fully functional AR
Yep.
headsets, forgiven the Google Glass. And so now, again, we don't know what Apple's about to introduce. We do know that Google's reinvesting in this as we speak. Meta, they also have the Oculus, but they are trying to get into AR as well. So with all that being said, and you're not progressing, this doesn't look good. So, as much as Kippen might say, like, don't believe what you're reading, but again, these aren't facts. It's kind of hard for us to not be able to not start to question what's going on, especially like the employee said. Are they enterprise? Are they consumer? Microsoft has kind of said for the most part that they're an enterprise play, but will solutions from Apple become the new standard? Especially if they can get a headset that's a little sleeker, maybe has battery or clarity. Maybe they have a field of view thing that just blows HoloLens out of the water. Enterprises are going to want that as well. So Microsoft has a lot of they have a lot of things to answer for, and I believe that they need to come out with, I don't know, an event, some kind of marketing, a video, maybe Kippen himself having a sit down or virtual meeting with a lot of people to assuage fears and concerns and to get people and employees or developers, contractors interested in HoloLens. Because as of right now, it's kind of a dead project. Nobody knows what to develop for. The software hasn't had an
Yep.
SDK come out in quite some time.
And there's Windows 11 now, which I don't know if it's even going to run on HoloLens 2. It's still stuck on Windows 10. But going back to something, Kipman is just one person involved in this story. Business Insider, apparently their insiders spoke with their in a meeting, and in the meeting, Chris Capellosa, he wasn't pretty proud or pretty happy about HoloLens. He called it quote unquote a rounding error to Microsoft's business, and he just said quote unquote it's a nice gadget for a promotional video. So he basically just dismissed HoloLens all the way around. And this insider also tells Business Insider that Satya Nadella himself He wants to make software for the metaverse, regardless whoever is making headsets or the hardware. So he's basically taking the Windows route when it comes to HoloLens, and it seems like this is also what's firing up the rift between the HoloLens team.
Well, it's interesting because I think both Capicella and Nadella both kind of talking in two different directions or actually meeting in
Yeah,
the middle. Uh, the fact that he's saying it's a rounding error means that he's not interested in the hardware making any type of money. So it's not going to be a consumer play anytime soon. It's not even necessarily going to be an enterprise play if it's a rounding error at this junction. We thought leading up to this, that Microsoft had enterprise lockdown. There were
yeah.
tons of people in warehouses and out, repairing jet engines, stuff with these things because that's what we were, led to believe. If it's a rounding error, then maybe they don't invest in hardware. Maybe they do, like Nadella said, position themselves for software and let Samsung, who's amazing at hardware, do this. So, to your point, maybe HoloLens just becomes a software play. And if Microsoft were smart, kind of like Google, they let the Samsungs and maybe even if you put it on like other hardware like Vizio TV, even people who make screens,
Yep.
let them build out that kind of technology, and they can work on the field of view and get all that hard engineering done. And you just say, hey, here's a perfectly good AR platform, and hopefully they don't tie it heavily into Windows. Maybe this just becomes something that can be used from either from a phone, from some glasses, from just a screen that sees stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how they pivot. Again, if HoloLens 3 is delayed, it may not be the end of HoloLens as we speak. It may just be a software pivot.
And let's just get a fact here now. Microsoft's Frank Shaw, who's their communications head, he did have something to say about this. He said that HoloLens, quote unquote, remains a critical part of our plans for emerging categories like mixed reality and the metaverse. And then he also went on to mention we remain committed to HoloLens and future HoloLens development. Just had to get that in there just to be exact.
Well, and another thing we should make clear too is that nobody is running away with this industry. Even Microsoft, who we
Yeah.
thought was out in a huge lead,
Yep.
Meta just did their earnings announcement, and they took a huge,
Yep.
huge hit, and that sunk R&D that they're not going to get back.
Yep.
So it isn't like they are nipping at the heels or someone's going to explode this market. Everyone's having trouble figuring out the the space between augmented reality and what we can use for it and virtual reality and what that can be used for. Neither one of them at the moment are solving a problem. I think what we did with AR is we skipped the whole actual hologram part where you would just have, little cubes that would project
Yeah.
light and images. We skipped all of that because we were like, oh, it'd be great to put it on our face. But I think we may need to just go back to having walls and windows that project certain information and we can interact with that versus putting it on our face, at least as of right now. Even people who wear glasses don't want to wear glasses. So we're not even going to tell them, oh, we're going to put stuff in front of your eyes as well with these glasses on. So until we can figure out what we need AR for, I don't really see Microsoft being in that big of a hole.
So now let's jump from one source of controversy to another, which is the Windows
Bring it on.
Insider program. And Microsoft put out a blog post updating on sort of kind of like the status of the Windows Insider program. The blog post was penned by Amanda, who is the head of the Windows Insider program. It's fairly long blog post per se, but for a long time, Windows Insiders, it doesn't really say much other than a new icon. They basically rebranded the Ninja Cat away from Ninja Cat towards this. I think it's like three people sitting together, and I don't even know how to explain it, but we'll have the photo up. But that was the big news. They have a new Windows Insider icon, and other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. They confirmed that the beta, dev, and release preview channels are there to stay, and it's dev channel is where you'll get new features that aren't linked to a specific Windows release, and you'll still get A/B testing where some people will see new features, other people will not. And the beta channel is the more stable. And one piece of news that came out of it is that they're creating sort of an opportunity for people to switch out of dev to beta and beta to dev within the next couple weeks. So that's just a quick summary of everything right there. Oh, and they also mentioned new ways that you could get new Windows 11 features, which is, I think we already knew this. It's either via the feature pack, web packs, online experience packs, or even via the Microsoft Store. So that's the news bits out of the blog post right there.
Yeah, and when I was saying earlier, does Windows Insider even matter anymore? That's kind of what I'm
Yeah.
hinting at is that we've come a long way for those of us who were Windows 8 beta testers to those of us who are now Windows insiders. And along the way, we've had a volley of communicators, people who have been kind of put in position to communicate with the community what's new, what's fixed, what's not, what's happening, where are they going, which direction. And everyone's done, has been successful and failed to a certain degree in that position. I think more famously, there was our, founder essentially for Windows 10, which was Gabe, and I believe off mic, our editor in chief and I were having a conversation about the way he communicated, and compared to the way that Donna communicated, and how the current, I guess, insider lead or head of insiders, Amanda's communicated. And again, like I said, they all have different styles. I just think that we're not seeing the level of testing as far as features and fixes that we have seen in the past. So I'm wondering at this point, does Microsoft run their insider programs? Maybe they slow down on the amount of updates. Maybe they communicate fixes a little differently. Uh, it's just kind of a way to rethink how we do insider programs. Yeah, yeah. And so, like I said, we'll see what's ahead, especially this new weird icon and what they have. I mean, we're not getting the bug bounties that we used to. The
Right.
level of engagement I feel is kind
Yeah.
of at an all time low. Again, these are just my feelings. I don't. They have the telemetry, they have the
Yeah.
numbers, but I feel like the community engagement, the excitement for getting a new build, things like that are. I mean, I go through the motions because it's part of my job to report on it, but.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even look forward to these updates. I'm just like, all right, I'll
I'll
do it.
skip it. I'll skip it.
Yeah, so we'll see what they do as far as allowing people to switch. Maybe that'll help gather people. But I do think they just need to start pushing out new things. Even if they're
Yep.
not forward-facing features for us, at least communicate like these are things we're doing in the back end. Let us know if they are affecting your everyday workflow and how we can make them better.
And jump us into our third topic now, which is again more controversy over the 3D emoji in Windows 11 apparently still coming.
Speaking of new features, yeah, well, we would love to see a little bit more UI consistency from some of the old Windows 7, Windows Vista, Windows XP dialogues and things like that. Microsoft seems to be focused on emojis, and we've had a little bit of controversy with this going back. Microsoft introduced 3D emojis, which look great. They look awesome, but they did so and said it's on its way. And this was how long ago did they do this? When they
Probably like
first introduced it?
around last year. It was in their promo video where they had all these awesome 3D emojis, and then when they released the Windows Insider builds, and even in Teams with the Teams Insider updates, instead of getting 3D emojis, we got these flat, ugly 2D emojis, and everyone was so
Yeah.
pissed off. And then they went and they did a blog post and they admitted, oh, it was a just like I said earlier, oh, it's a communication issue, and then we weren't clear, and that we're still working on them, but it won't be in Windows 11. It would just be in Teams and Skype and whatnot, and people were still mad at them for that.
Yeah, so now they've tried to come out and clarify. And again, I don't know who's running the uh, account for this or running the lead point on this, but they're saying that Windows 3D emojis are coming. I believe Sean over at Windows Central was kind of calling them out, asking like, "Well, if they're coming, when? Because you guys have said this
All right,
before.
yeah,
Why update us telling it's coming a second time, which if you haven't introduced it the first time, I believe Brandon LeBlanc jumped on to try and kind of clear things up. But again, at the end of the day, they're still not here. So Microsoft needs to either tell people it's here, go play with it, or don't bring it up again. Like, don't stop telling people that, oh, it's on its way if you're not going to deliver. And if you don't have a specific timeline, if you can't say February 26th, we will introduce the 3D emojis, you guys are welcome to play with it, then don't bring it up. Like, there's no, stop giving people these vague things and then messing that up. Like this was I mentioned this is an unforced error of Microsoft's communication. Like we didn't need to get in this controversy. We shouldn't even be talking about this topic right now. We should be moving on to other things, but we have to bring it up because Microsoft brought it up for
yeah.
no apparent reason.
And it was you mentioned that you weren't sure about where it's coming from, but Nando Costa, who is
Oh, okay, there you go.
the design lead at Microsoft, he confirmed in well, people are saying he confirmed, but I mean it's just one guy over the probably
Hmm.
thousands of people who are on the team, but he I'll say quote unquote confirm that they're still working on 3D emoji because he said someone complained about the lack of the 3D emojis in a reply to one of his tweets which linked out to the Microsoft design post on the emojis. And he's like, "Oh, we're still working on that with an exclamation mark." So everyone misreport. I think it was Tom Warren at The Verge who first had a report out about it. Everyone took that as, "Hey, Microsoft is still working on the 3D emojis." But maybe it is true because in that blog post at the end, Costa he said, "We plan to continue creating new designs every year based on new Unicode releases and we'll also explore investments in our own exclusive concept." So there's a chance, but there also might not be a chance. Just take it the way you want to take it.
And like I mentioned before, this seems like such a minor thing because we still have to take into consideration what does a 3D emoji translate to people you're communicating to outside of
Exactly. Yeah.
Windows? This is the issue that I believe Google was having with their messages.
Yep.
Like I think they just implemented the like iMessage reactions
RCS, the
in
RCS. Yes.
exactly, and which is great. It's a huge step forward in helping kind of bridge the gap between blue and green bubbles or whatnot. But there's still a level of loss in translation that happens with the emojis. So again, it looks great on your computer necessarily, but if you email somebody or if you're chatting with them via Messenger or something else, and Skype or whatever, and they're using a different platform, what does it look like to them? And you might, after all of this controversy, you might just be sending again flat 2D emojis to everybody, and it doesn't even matter.
All right, and I think we're done with controversy for now because we hit all three of our main topics, which means it's time for a fast recap. And there's a lot of stuff we want to get to in fast recap this week, but I'm still giving us 10 minutes to get through it. And you'll go
Oh,
first by talking about Microsoft's Activision deal and it apparently being under investigation.
yeah, I mean, there are new rules that the FTC is, I believe, trying to implement as we speak, as far as large acquisitions from especially just tech companies, but in general. So this deal will be subject to that. Microsoft had already stated that this deal will go into 2023 before it's finalized. So they have about a year to kind of be investigated, to kind of go through the books and kind of run over the numbers and to see if this will indeed harm or help the gaming community. Now, keep in mind, Microsoft does expect this to go through. Activision Blizzard expects this to go through. Microsoft will, if it does, because as of right now, as it stands, I think Microsoft's fifth in as far as market share as far as game is concerned. They will move up to third, so they still won't be number one. Sony still is the number one, I believe, amongst the number one gaming companies out there. So this could help them be competitive, but again, we expected this to go through investigation.
And then go to our second topic, which is the Surface Audio app being killed off for Surface app instead. You have show everyone your brand new Surface
I
headphones,
got
so
him, everybody. I got him. Yeah.
appropriately, I'll let you handle the Surface Audio news.
Yeah, I've been playing with the app actually today. Yeah, Microsoft has decided to consolidate, which I applaud them for. They've moved the Surface Audio app into the Surface app. For those of you who have ever purchased a Surface device, most of them come with this kind of splash screen. It's not really an app itself. It kind of gives you insight into your device as far as your serial code or the barcode, serial number, and a few of the spec information. And there's usually kind of a thing you can register for Microsoft Care, or you can get your Adobe license if you have any kind of computer or Surface device. And then there's a separate audio device which came on the Surface Duo. You can download it to any Android phone. I think you can do it for iOS as well, which would have given you access to equalizer features and things like that in your Surface headphones or your Surface Buds. Microsoft decided to consolidate that, so now the Surface Audio portion of that app has now been put in the Surface devices. You can still download it from iOS and Android. When you get your new Surface devices, it is bundled into that as well. So like I said, if you need to get any of your Surface things like a pen, headphones, or get access to features on your computer, they're all in one app now.
And now our third topic is Microsoft Lists getting support for personal accounts. Now, Microsoft Lists is not to be confused with Microsoft To Do. It's a separate product, but some people have preferred Microsoft Lists because of the way that it integrates with with like photos and other cute little icons and whatnots and ways to track products and stuff. Well, Microsoft announced that a select amount of people will now be able to use personal accounts with Microsoft Lists. So there you go. That's that news.
Yeah, and on to some fun actual news for those of you who are Windows Phone fans and switched over to the deal. Android 11 is now on the Microsoft Duo, or at least it's rolling out to. I got it,
Yep.
I want to say, the end of last week. I've been playing around with it. There are other people on the internet who have done a deep dive. I believe you actually did one
Yep.
as well, wrote up one. So please head to his article for that. But just kind of some things off the bat. It's a couple UI tweaks. They've moved some things around. They've actually brought some of the fluidity and some of the settings closer to the Surface Duo 2. So don't feel like you've been left out. For those of you who bought a Surface Duo on the cheap, you were right next to the Surface Duo 2 people, sans the camera app.
And also, Gmail is getting a new look, and it apparently looks like Microsoft Outlook. We have the photo up here on the feed for you. And you know how Microsoft Outlook has that little sidebar that links you out to Microsoft's other apps? Well, this is apparently coming to Gmail now too, because Google wants you to use Duo and their other services. And it's giving, I wrote a piece saying that Gmail is getting the Microsoft Outlook treatment. So that is our final topic in the fast recap.
Yeah, and I think that officially wraps us up under 10 minutes or so. I just want to give an addendum to the Gmail thing because it does make sense
Yeah.
that it's just a UI that's, a lot of people
Small
are
change.
enabling. I mean, one, it's also something that's kind of going industry wide where you kind of put all of your apps in a column or taskbar or, small area like that.
Yeah.
So as much as it is following Outlook, Outlook kind of took it from other people as well.
And now that's time. It's time for week ahead, and I'll let you get into the first part of week ahead.
Yes. So, again, we were talking about the fallout from the HoloLens news. We're going to be monitoring this. I know a lot of people are covering it. I think Mary Jo Foley's going to be talking about it. Paul Thurrott's obviously talking about it. Everyone in the Windows world will be talking about it. And so we're going to be writing about it, and we're going to see if Alex Kipman is sent back out to kind of convey a stronger message saying that, HoloLens is a product going forward because Satya Nadella keeps using the term metaverse, and he Microsoft has sunk all this money into gaming, and they believe that VR and AR are part of their product going forward. That mixed reality is a thing. I don't think it's a thing. I think they need to kind of I was all for mixed reality. Microsoft kind of pitched it 4 years ago. Now later 4 years later, I was like, maybe they need to be separate things. Maybe we need to invest in AR separately and invest in VR separately and do them very well. Like, you have your next Xbox perhaps could just do VR, have VR built in, kind of like how Sony did it, and just do it really well. And then AR comes to its stuff like, built into your Windows tablet and things like that, where it makes more sense than just having, a headset or whatnot.
And then we're also looking out for a new dev channel build next week because Microsoft didn't release one this week. One of our writers, it was his last day, and I'm like, hey, you better get a new build before you go. But nope, there wasn't a new build this week. Microsoft said a bug stopped them from releasing the dev channel build. So we're looking out towards next week. Since it's been 2 weeks, who knows? Maybe they might put a big feature in there.
Yeah, I mean, they maybe they'll, like you said, roll in
Yeah.
updates that they're planning to do this week into whatever big new build this is. Last but not least, we'll be talking about Microsoft's Xbox team celebrating Black History Month. I believe the Bing team is also doing it as well, but we have specific details from the Xbox team. There'll be, I think, the actual gaming side of Black History Month. Microsoft will be offering a Black History Month emblem and nameplate for Halo Infinite players. In addition, Forza is hosting a new in-game library design contest spotlighting designers celebrating the past, present, and future of Black communities. We also will be getting new sort of avatar things, maybe clothing, cultural remnants, things like that to be added to gamer picks, gamer profiles, or whatnot. There's also included a shirt with a special colored Xbox logo and a hat too. And those can be actually downloaded as of today or 2 days ago, I think is when they first started. We'll also be sharing rewards and initiatives as well. So again, keep an eye on your Xbox and all the extra things to help celebrate Black History Month with fellow gamers.
And that said, we are finished. The show is finished, which means time to leave you for your traditional outro.
Yeah. Well, hold on. We had one other thing too. I had mentioned that I would be
Oh, yeah.
testing a Lenovo 5i Legion gaming tower.
Ooh, desktop
And
towers?
yeah, and I think it comes with like 8 gigabytes of RAM, but it has a super impressive graphics card. And the reason why this is kind of important and might be useful for gamers is that this is one of the first pre-built systems that Lenovo's kind of shipping with that can be upgraded. So for those of you who are having trouble right now getting a graphics card because they're just practically basically gone, after I'm done reviewing this, if it's up to snuff, we will be having a giveaway. So you might be able to get your hands freely on a new updated graphics card. So again, stay tuned, check out the website, follow us on Twitter, come back here, and we'll let everybody know if and when this is available.
I almost skipped over all the fun stuff.
Yeah, you're all about the controversy. With that being said, like I said, follow us, but you can also follow me on Mindhead1 on Twitter. Where can people follow you?
A back journ.
Yeah, and on Microsoft is where we'll be giving news about the giveaway on Twitter as well. We do have a gaming profile on Pinterest that people should go visit. We do tease the podcast on Instagram and other places elsewhere. So again, we're all over the internet. You can find us. We hope you guys enjoy hanging out with us.
And see you again soon, everyone. Same place, same time.
Yeah, stay safe, and we'll do it again next week.
Bye bye.